What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Patrick Dang here. Now in this video, we are going to be talking all about negotiations, right? So if you're a salesperson, business development person, entrepreneur, coach, consultant, whatever it is, you know that you have to talk to people on the phone, and then you're going to have to negotiate price. Even if you're not selling anything and you want to buy something, you're also going to have to negotiate price to make sure you get the best deal, because a lot of times in the B2B space, people are not going to be fair with you, or they're always going to try to overcharge you. So I'm going to show you some tips, some strategies, some tactics to ensure you get the best price while at the same time making sure everybody walks away happy and nobody feel like they got ripped off. Now, if you're ready for this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, turn on notification, and let's go ahead and dive right in. So the first tip I have for you is going to be always ask for the budget first, right? This is a tip that I've really hold true to my entire career, essentially, even as an entrepreneur now, even when it comes to recruiting too, right? Like, you always want to ask the other person, what's their budget? What do they expect, right? Because a lot of times you might get lucky and whatever it is that you're willing to charge, let's say you're selling something, you want $10,000, right? And sometimes the client might be like, oh, our budget's like 20K. So if they're willing to pay 20K for your services, sometimes you might as well just charge them 20K because they'll be happy with it, right? And so the only way you're gonna know that number is if you ask the person, what's your budget? What are you working with? Is there a range, right? So typically what I would do first is I would be like, hey, do you have a budget for this? And if they give you the budget right off the bat, it's done, right? So if their budget is really high and that's okay with you, just go with that and then, continue to deal that way and you're gonna win. Now, situations where, let's say the prospect doesn't want to give you your budget, right? They're like, oh, well, we don't really want to give you the budget because blah, 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 blah. They make up a dumb reason. And then it's like, all right, cool. So what do you do in that situation? What I would do is I would say okay, I hear what you're saying. You don't want to give your budget because this and that. But, my goal here is not to overcharge you or anything. I'm just trying to get understanding of whether or not we're going to be the right fit to work with each other, because if your budget doesn't align with our pricing, then it's just not going to work, right? So is there a range we can work with, right? Is there in the ballpark of what are we looking at? And then they'll give you a range. They might be like, oh, okay, fine. It's going to be 50 to 70K. That's what we're thinking, depending on what services we get, right? By getting a range and not getting them to, give you a fixed number right there, but just a range, it's going to help you so much more, right? And let's say you ask that question and then they don't give you the budget again, then you'd be like, are we talking about 50K, 70K, or 70K to 100K? Where are we landing here? So if they don't give you the budget, they don't give you a range, you give them certain ranges and it'll be certain options. Option number 1, option number 2, option number 3, and then they're going to pick one of them, right? And then from there, you have your budget. So that's essentially how you want to get the prospect's budget first before you give up anything. Now, if they ever ask you oh, we don't want to give you a budget, but what's your pricing, right? What I like to do is, well, that depends what you want, right? We can really offer a lot of different services. Really depends on what you want, right? Even if I gave you a price, it may not even be something you need. So to actually even get a price that's realistic to what you're looking for, it makes sense for me to understand what you can actually work with first. And then I would be like, is that okay with you? They'll be like, yeah, that's okay. So, moving forward with that, we do have different tiers and everything like that, depending on what you're looking for. But is it going to be option number 1, number 2, number 3? Is it going to be 50 to 70, 70 to 100, 100 to 150? Whatever the case is. And then you really just keep spinning it back to get their budget, right? So I would just basically do it over and over and over and over again. Eventually they're gonna get to a point where they're gonna be like, fine, here's the budget. That's typically what I would do. Now, if they really don't want to give up their budget, you can anchor your price really high and they're gonna be like, oh, that's way too high for me. And then you say, okay, interesting, what would be a price that works with you? And they're gonna give you a number. And then what you would do, you would reduce different services to reach that number, and you're all just making this up on the fly, honestly. And then from there, they're gonna be comfortable with services that they get for the price that they're getting, right? And so that's the strategy you want to take when it comes to negotiating. Now, there's some other tips that I have for you when it comes to negotiating, and these are some things I felt recently as I purchase different products and services from other vendors. And that is, you'll want to understand when price is not an issue, right? So for me, for example, I actually have a separate company outside of the sales training stuff. I have this whole NFT company. If you didn't know, it's called The Parallax. It's a whole different YouTube channel about NFTs. Check it out if you want. But essentially, I need to pay for, certain services for, launching my NFT project. The one thing I really needed to do and I needed to get done on a very specific timeline, it's a very short timeline. And in that situation, I'm willing to pay a lot of money to get it done on time, because I know that if I get it done on time and people are happy with the product I put out, then I'm going to make a lot more money than whatever I'm willing to pay. For the service providers, in that situation, if they, said the price of whatever they were offering is going to be this, and they can guarantee that it's going to be done on time, or else they're going to give me XYZ, then I'm going to pay, right? Just because at that price point, I'm pretty price indifferent and I'm willing to pay for speed and quality to get the job done. If somebody knows that, then they can charge a lot higher and I'm still willing to pay for it. So when you are negotiating your deals or you're thinking about pricing, you need to understand where that person is in their life, because if some people have huge budgets quotes, like whatever they're spending on you is like nothing compared to the budget that they have, then it's like you can charge a lot higher, right? And then sometimes they're going to be like, it's not even worth negotiating for them because they're like, just get it done on time, good to go, right? So understand when pricing isn't an issue, and sometimes people just care about speed and guarantees. So if you're like, hey, it's going to cost this, but we can get it done on this time and we can guarantee it's going to be done on this time, or else we're going to give you your money back, or whatever guarantee you can offer, then a lot of times people will just say yes, just because they're willing to pay for quality and speed. Now, the next tip I have for you is that narrative is everything, right? So it's all about positioning your product and service in a way where it solves for pain. If you're offering a commodity service and you're saying, oh, we're doing everything like everybody else is, then why should someone pay for your product and service? Why is it different from anyone else? And then what they're going to do is they're going to shop around and look for the cheapest price, right? And you don't want to be the cheapest. So what you want to do instead is you want to set a premium price. Usually that's what I like to do. And then from there, you want to position your product or service in a way that solves for a customer pain, and make sure that pain is so strong, so powerful that they're willing to pay a lot of money to make it go away, and they're priced indifferent. And so when I sell my products and services, that's how I want to position myself. So like when people look at me, I don't want them to compare Patrick Dang and everything I'm doing to the next guy. It's either they want to buy from me or they don't want to buy from me, right? Because I solve a specific pain, and that just really comes to your ability to craft a narrative saying that your product and services are specifically for this person and that there's nobody else that can solve the problem better, faster than you. Narrative is everything. Understand that if you don't have a narrative and you're just like everybody else, you have to craft your offer in a different way so that it does solve for a specific pain and people feel like, oh, that's exactly what I want. I need to work with this person. Now, there's some other tips I have for you is you want to create the best offer possible. For me, when I was purchasing different services for my NFT project, what I personally did was for some agency work for certain parts of the NFT, I needed development work, right? And so what I did was I just shopped around at many different vendors and I said like, okay, I want to do this. What's your price? Cool. They gave me a price. I go to the next guy. Hey, I want to do this. What's your price? Interesting. Cool. Then I go to the next guy and I say, okay, hey, what's your price? Cool, interesting. Let me get back to you. And so basically I just did that over and over and over until I got the cheapest price from somebody, right? That would take that price. I would go to the next guy who has higher quality, but like a more expensive price. And I'd be like, hey, everyone's doing the same thing. It's all commodity work. This guy's charging this much. Can you beat this price? And a lot of times they'll be like, yeah, we can do that. If I wanted to take it further, I can take that price and go to another person and be like, hey, I really like you too, but they're offering this price. If you can beat this price, I'll go with you. You can get them to fight each other, right? But I didn't go that far because the second price I got was good enough for me. The whole game is really, you shop around, get all the different prices, and then you make all these vendors fight against each other. And this really works when it comes to buying a car, for example. If you live in America, probably works around the world, but I don't know. But I know in America, like if you're trying to buy a car, that's the strategy. You go to different dealers because they all sell the same car, right? Like let's say you want like a Honda Accord. Well, every dealership sells a Honda Accord and they're all competing against each other. So you're just like, yo, what's your price? Cool. Go to the other Honda dealership. What's your price? Cool. This guy's offering this. Can you beat it? And then cool. Then you keep doing it over and over and over until you get to a point where, the dealers just don't want to go any lower or else they're not making any money. We're not making any money on this, right? They'll say something like that. But yeah, so that's pretty much the strategy. This works really well for commodity services. So like anything that that other people can do to the same degree of expertise, just do it. Just go shop around and get the best price and then just make them fight against each other because it's actually their fault that they're not differentiated, right? So yeah, that's a very powerful tip. Now, if you reverse the situation and you are selling a commodity product and service, what you want to do is, if you're selling the same thing everybody else is selling, then it's like you're going to compete on price, right? But if, like I said before, if you craft your narrative in a way where you're different from everybody else, you can charge higher prices, offer better services, and smoke your competition. So that's definitely a lesson you want to do there. And I guess when it comes to negotiating, really the key here, especially if you're an entrepreneur or you can decide what you sell as like offer creation, is you want to create the best offer possible. You want to create something that's so good, people would be ridiculously dumb to say no. And then if you're able to do that, you have a lot more leverage in selling your products and services, right? But if you're selling something that's like everything else, you're going to have trouble negotiating, not because you're not good at negotiating, but because you're selling something that's like everything else. And so with that said, those are going to be my tips when it comes to negotiations. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I will see you guys in the next one.